Hello, welcome back to my 1.5 year review on the Razer Viper Ultimate Gaming Mouse. This isn't really going to be an in-depth review where I talk about all the specs, but more just a summary or my thoughts on the mouse after using it for some time now. I will also talk about any issues or problems that I have had with the mouse, and whether or not I think it is a mouse worth picking up. Now, I purchased this used off of eBay back in November of 2020, so it's been almost exactly 1.5 years since I have had this mouse. After all this time, I am glad to say that I haven't had any issues with this mouse. No problems like double clicking, all buttons work just fine, no skipping, and everything still works flawlessly. Now, Razer doesn't really have the best reputation for making products that last a very long time, so I'm happy to say that so far, things are still going great with this mouse. Actually, before I used the Viper Ultimate, I was using a 2013 Razer Death Adder, and that mouse was also still working flawlessly for over 7 years. So I think the whole thing about Razer products being built poorly or not having the best quality control is kind of just the luck of the draw. Now, the first thing I immediately noticed when I got this mouse was just how lightweight it felt. This is still the lightest gaming mouse that I have ever used, and compared to my old 2013 Death Adder, this was a huge change in weight. There's a few gaming mice that are even more lightweight than this one, such as all the ones with the holes in the palm area of the mouse, but the Razer Viper Ultimate is weighted really well so that it still feels heavy enough to feel sturdy and not like a toy, but it's extremely light at the same time that it will make an excellent mouse for fast movements and overall mouse control. The shell of the mouse is made of a finely textured plastic surface that feels smooth in the hand, and it doesn't show any fingerprints. Like most mice out there, this has two large, super grippy rubber pads that almost feel like some basketball rubber, and because of that, I have perfect control and grip with this mouse when gaming, and I never once felt like I didn't have a proper grip on the mouse or it was sliding out of my hand during use. I also never dropped this mouse before, but because of the very lightweight plastic construction, I wouldn't doubt that if you happen to drop it, it might break or the plastic might crack. However, when I'm applying pressure, I don't really hear any kind of creaking, so even though it is very lightweight, it is still built very well. The Razer logo on the palm area of the mouse kinda has this frosted glass kind of look because it's covered by the same kind of textured plastic as the rest of the mouse. It's an ambidextrous mouse, so you have two macro buttons on both sides, which you can program using Razer Synapse. These buttons are big enough and feel distinct that I never had a problem hitting the button that I want to hit, but sometimes when you are gaming or doing something on the computer, you might accidentally hit one of the buttons on the side because they are pretty sensitive. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, when you want to hit the side buttons, you will have no problems hitting them, but at the same time, when you don't want to hit them, you still might hit them by accident. The scroll wheel is also very nice and has this dotted rubber texture, which provides plenty of grip, and it also has a solid click that's not too hard or too easy to press. Both the left and the right click buttons are very easy to press, and they feel hyper responsive. When you press the buttons, there is absolutely zero feeling of lag or delay, and all the clicks just feel instant. The noise of the clicking I wouldn't say is anything out of the ordinary for a mouse. It kinda just has this average noise output for mouse clicking, but just with a slightly different tone. Moving on to the comfort, I found that it has also been really good, and I never had any issues with comfort either. It is an ambidextrous mouse, so it doesn't feel as comfortable as a mouse specifically designed for the right or the left hand, but overall, it is a very comfortable mouse. Now, for me personally, I actually prefer ambidextrous mice because I actually use the mouse in both of my hands for different reasons, which I guess is kind of weird. For RTS games, or pretty much everything else including day-to-day usage, I would use the mouse with the right hand, because I'm naturally right-handed. But when I play FPS games, I actually use the mouse with my left. And this mainly started because I grew up playing FPS games with my left hand, because my brother is left-handed, and we would be sharing the same computer back then. Now I know for mice a lot of people talk about specific kinds of grips or a style that you would use to hold the mouse, but I haven't really paid attention to how I hold the mouse, but I'm pretty sure I lean towards a claw grip. I kind of just rest my whole hand on it, but when I game, I do notice that I tend to shift towards more of a claw grip and use more precise clicking with the fingertips. This is especially true when I'm playing a fast-paced, highly accurate, intensive game like StarCraft. My fingers naturally hold this mouse in a claw grip. Now I guess you could also just palm the mouse, but because the mouse has this low, more of a flat profile, it's not as easy to use. Now because of how light, comfortable, and responsive the mouse is, I feel like this mouse is more than capable of handling pretty much any type of game that you want to play. When playing RTS games, the quick swipes and prolonged clicking doesn't really create any kind of fatigue on my hands, or when I'm playing FPS kind of games, I can pretty much aim very quickly and accurately. Now if you also want to do quick 180 turns or very quick jolts, they are also very easy to do with this mouse. Just real quick, I want to also talk about the bottom of the mouse. It has 5 feet, which are silky smooth. The mouse glides very well on my SteelSeries mousepad. You could also use it without a mousepad and it feels even smoother, but I would definitely say that I have a lot more control of the mouse using a mousepad, because on a hard surface, it just feels way too slippery. There's also a little compartment to house the USB, which I have basically never used, but I can see how it can be useful if you want to move your laptop and bring your mouse with you. That's a nice way to not lose the USB. There's also a button to change DPI levels on the fly, with different colored lights to represent different settings. And there's also an on and off switch underneath, which is just a slider, which I actually much prefer for a mouse. Now I tend to turn off the mouse whenever I don't use my computer, just out of habit, but you could also just leave it on without having to turn it off, because the mouse will automatically go to sleep after a certain period of time. When you don't move it for a little while, it goes to sleep, and when you move the mouse again, you have to kind of give it a second for it to wake back up. Now battery life has been excellent. This mouse has a stated battery life of about 70 hours, and for me, the lowest I have ever gotten the battery down to was around 70%, and that's even after days of normal use. I think for me it's kind of impossible to ever run out of battery, because number one, it lasts so long on a full charge, and number two, whenever I am not actively using it, I kind of just throw it on the charging dock, because I am so used to doing that whenever I leave my laptop to do something. Say I am gaming and then I need to quickly go make some food or go eat, I would just throw it on the charging dock, do my thing, come back, and it would be nearly full or fully charged. Speaking about the charging dock, if you buy it with the charging dock, it looks like this. It's also made of the same lightweight textured plastic as the mouse, and it has these RGB lights on the bottom edge, which gives it a nice touch. The underside has a sticky rubber that helps it stay in place, so it doesn't go sliding around on your desk, but mine isn't really that sticky anymore because of all the dust that has eventually gotten trapped over time. The USB receiver plugs right into the dock, and if you don't have the dock, you will be plugging the USB directly into your computer. The cable it comes with is also very long, braided, and it's very lightweight. So If you plug it into your mouse to charge, which you can do because there's also a port in front of the mouse, you could technically use the mouse wired without any cable drag issues. A downside though is that it uses micro USB and not USB-C, which I would have definitely preferred. But at the same time, if you have the dock, just use the dock, and then the type of port it has doesn't really matter anymore. Charging on the dock is also very well designed and thought out by Razer. You can just kind of drop the mouse in the general area of the dock, and most of the time it will slide into place. The two prongs just have to make contact with the two contact points on the bottom of the mouse. Now, I never had a problem with mine, but a friend of mine who also has the same exact mouse has had some charging issues where he would place it on the dock and the mouse wouldn't charge. Now, he did eventually fix his mouse after taking some alcohol and cleaning out the prongs and wiping out the debris and dust from underneath the mouse. So if you guys have any problems with the mouse not charging, the first thing you should do is clean out the dust and debris that get trapped. So yeah, that's kind of been my general experience with the mouse so far. It's by far the best gaming mouse that I have ever used. Not only is the mouse extremely light, it's very comfortable and responsive. The whole wireless experience in general just seems very seamless. Back in the day, I had one of those Logitech G7 gaming mice that came with 2 battery packs, so in the middle of gaming you would have to be charging the other one and switch it out after it's been drained. But that whole experience was kind of troublesome, and especially when having to change the batteries all the time, something like this makes it a lot easier. When I use this mouse, I just kind of feel like I am in complete control of the cursor, and when I'm in game, I have complete control of whatever I want to point my screen to. There's really no discomfort or unresponsiveness when using this mouse, and the cursor doesn't move in a weird or funky way. Overall, all I can really describe is that using this mouse, it feels very pure and very accurate. Now, kind of through this whole review, I haven't really had much downsides, and that's because I can't really think of any. I think that this mouse is nearly flawless for what I do and how I use it. So that's my take on the Razer Viper Ultimate. If you guys enjoyed, maybe subscribe to my channel. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.